John steals a hot air balloon and pretends to be a rich man. When the hot air balloon rose to high altitude, danger approached them quietly, and the balloon had deviated from its original position. It turned out that before taking off, John asked his partner Jack to fasten the safety rope of the hot air balloon. As a result, he only tied one end of the safety rope to the tire, but forgot to tie the other end to the hot air balloon, causing the balloon to float farther and farther. At this time, they were flying in the direction of the generator, and they were still celebrating with champagne, unaware of the danger. It was too late when they discovered that the hot air balloon was not safe. The hot air balloon floated towards where the windmill was. Because it was too close to the windmill, John turned on the stove to the maximum, let the hot air balloon rise rapidly, and asked everyone to squat down and hold the basket. As the hot air balloon got closer and closer to the windmill, several people trembled with fright, but after waiting for a while, Jack thought he had escaped a catastrophe, and just stood up to check. But suddenly, the hanging basket continued to rise, and soon flew to the clouds. When they reacted, they found that Jack had disappeared, while John's leg was pierced by a wooden thorn and passed out. Seeing that he lost a lot of blood, Jenny quickly took off her clothes and bandaged John to stop the bleeding. The pain jolted John awake, and John told Jenny to turn off the burners, stopping the balloon from rising. At this time, a familiar voice came, and Jenny saw Jack holding the rope in the air. Jenny reached out to pull Jack back, but Jenny couldn't reach his hand. Mary sat directly on the edge of the gondola and kept reaching forward, but a few times it was just a little bit short. Jack's physical strength finally broke, and he disappeared in front of the two of them. The two hugged each other and cried. The hot air balloon quickly descended below the clouds. But not long after, the hot air balloon floated to the sea with the wind. John looked out and couldn't see land at all. And now there is only one bottle of fuel left, which can only last for 2 hours. Once the fuel is exhausted, the hot air balloon will plummet into the sea. Mary was puzzled and said that she would not be killed if she fell into the sea. But Mary didn't know that this hot air balloon weighed 400 kilograms, and once it fell into the sea, it would sink forever. So within 2 hours, if they don't meet a ship, they will die. Jenny suddenly saw a yacht in the distance, and the two yelled at the yacht. But the people on the yacht thought they were saying hello and waved to them enthusiastically. John also wanted to help and shout for help. When he stood up, he fell directly from the gap, and fell heavily into the sea. John was struggling desperately in the sea. Seeing this, Jenny quickly threw down the rope, but the rope was too light to be thrown very far. In addition, the sea wind was too strong and the hot air balloon was blown away. John got further and further away from the rope. Jenny was in a hurry, and quickly tied the rope around her waist, ready to go into the water for rescue. But when she turned around, there was no sign of the man. John had been swallowed by the sea. The two were very sad and remorseful. However, what made the two even more desperate was that the yacht had already left, and the distance between them was getting farther and farther. In order to attract attention, the two can only take risks. Mary hung upside down outside the hanging basket, took down the banner, wrote the distress signal and blood, and then kept shouting with the banner. No one on the yacht noticed the two of them at all, and the two of them were completely desperate. Time passed by every minute and every second, and the hot air balloon was still drifting with the wind in the vast sea. The two sat in the hanging basket filled with helplessness and fear. Mary saw that Jenny's hand was bleeding, and Mary took off her shirt to help her bandage. At this time, Jenny found that the fire of the burner was about to go out. Mary hurried up to control the switch, but it was too late, the fire was completely out. The two tried to find a lighter to raw-ignite, but the lighter was on John's body. At this time, if the hot air balloon cannot be restarted, the two will fall into the sea, and the chance of escape is even slimmer. Jenny thought of a way just in time. Jenny took out a condom, filled it with wine, and put it in the sun. The crystal ball instantly became a simple lens, which quickly set the paper on fire. Mary quickly threw the paper into the engine. The hot air balloon finally started to work again, and the two were temporarily safe. But the remaining fuel won't last long either. If the hot air balloon does not reach land, both of them will fall into the sea. Jenny had to take out her mobile phone, but there was still no signal on the mobile phone. At this time, Mary looked at the phone, and then at the cable on the balloon. Mary immediately snatched the phone, removed the case, pointed to the small hole in the phone and said there was a signal receiver inside. If the signal receiver is connected to the outside, the phone may receive a stronger signal. Mary quickly found a pair of small scissors, then cut off a steel wire from the steel wire, and then inserted the steel wire into the small hole of the phone. The phone really has a signal. Jenny quickly opened the map and sent the location to her sister. But as soon as the send button was pressed, the phone ran out of power and turned off. Neither of them knew whether the message had been sent or not. To make matters worse, the fuel of the hot air balloon was exhausted at this time, and it fell to the sea. Jenny asked Mary to help untie the skirt of the hot air balloon. Mary took off her skirt and threw it into the sea. So, the two climbed onto the balloon and took off the skirt. Soon, the basket of the hot air balloon descended to the surface of the water, and the sphere was immediately covered. Jenny swam out, but she couldn't see Mary coming out. Jenny immediately dived into the sea and dragged Mary, who couldn't swim, out of the water. But dragging Mary couldn't hold on for long. The two saw a fuel tank surfaced, and they quickly lay down on it. Although they regained their strength by hugging the fuel tank, they felt chills after a while. When the two were about to lose their hold, they saw a kayak appearing in the distance. The two were so excited that they swam towards the kayak with all their strength. It turned out that after Jenny's sister received the location, she quickly took her friends to the sea to search, and they found them. Both Jenny and Mary were finally saved.